Hi, I'm Kim Vanell in Whanganui, New Zealand. It's Friday, January 23rd. Today, the detention of a 5-year-old by ICE agents in Minnesota prompts outrage. Trump leaves a week of drama in Davos, touting his Greenland deal and board of peace. JP Morgan Chase and its CEO face a $5 billion lawsuit from Trump. And the Oscar nominees are in, with segregation-era vampire thriller Sinners making history. This is Reuters World News, bringing you everything you need to know from the front lines in 10 minutes, 7 days a week. First to Minneapolis, where the detention of a 5-year-old by ICE agents is adding fuel to the fire over the immigration tactics used in President Trump's crackdown. It's now been revealed the boy is one of 4 minors known to have been detained by ICE in recent weeks, including a 10-year-old and 2 17-year-olds. Agents detained 5-year-old Liam Corneo Ramos as they were taking in his father, who authorities say is in the country illegally.
He was wearing a blue hat and had a really tiny backpack on, a Spider-Man backpack, and he was by himself.
That's Rachel James, a city council member who lives in the neighborhood. She says the boy's father had already been put in the back of an SUV and that a neighbor claiming to be part of the family said they could take him in. But she says after even more offers of help, ICE took the child anyway. But that's not the version given by Homeland Security, who says parents targeted in ICE operations are asked if they want to take their children with them or have them placed with a designated person. Vice President J.D. Vance, who soon after footage of the incident came to light, said the boy's father had fled the scene and ICE agents had no choice.
Well, what are they supposed to do? Are they supposed to let a 5-year-old child freeze to death? Are they not?
Vance arrived in Minneapolis to address the sometimes violent reaction to Trump's crackdown. Reporter Heather Schlitz in Minneapolis has more.
A lot of residents, especially Latinos and people of color, are incredibly tense right now. People are frequently seeing armed, camouflaged, masked agents roaming through the streets in unmarked cars, and Minneapolis is strongly pushing back against that.
To the World Economic Forum now, and it's been a dramatic week in Davos. It's not just that Greenland deal, which President Trump says secures total and permanent US access to Greenland. There was more Davos drama, including this speech by Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney.
But more recently, great powers have begun using economic integration as weapons. Tariffs as leverage.
It got him a rare standing ovation. And later, Trump withdrew his invite for Canada to join his board of peace. Trump used the Economic Forum to officially launch the board, which he denies is designed as a replacement to the United Nations. The White House says that so far, over 30 countries have accepted the offer to join the board, including Israel, Saudi Arabia, Hungary, Turkey, and Belarus. Also in Davos, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says there's progress to ending the war, with Ukraine getting security guarantees during his meeting with President Trump. But the critical issue of territory remains unresolved.
Just last year, here in Davos, I ended my speech with the words, "Europe needs to know how to defend itself." A year has passed, and nothing has changed.
Over in Moscow, US envoys Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner held a late-night meeting with Russia's President Vladimir Putin, with the Kremlin saying afterwards that there won't be a lasting settlement without an agreement on territory. Negotiators from Russia, Ukraine, and the US are set to hold trilateral meetings in Abu Dhabi later today. And if you saw French President Emmanuel Macron's speech at Davos this week, you probably also noticed his aviator sunglasses. Whatever your take on his new sunnies, which he wore inside, outside, during press conferences, and in meetings, he says it's not a fashion statement. He needs them because of a burst blood vessel in his eye. Even so, viral photos of the French leader sent shares in iVision Tech, the glasses maker, up almost 28%. To markets now, and Trump is suing JP Morgan Chase and its CEO, Jamie Dimon, in a $5 billion lawsuit. To explain, here's Morning Bid host Elena Casas.
So President Trump alleges that JP Morgan closed his bank accounts back in 2020 for political reasons. Now, US conservatives have been saying for years that the big Wall Street banks were refusing services to companies like oil and gas, cryptocurrency or firearms because of political reasons, or as they would put it, because the banks were woke. Now, this isn't even the first clash this week between President Trump and JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon. Trump said he wanted to cap credit card fees at 10% earlier in the week, and Jamie Dimon told an audience in Davos that would be an economic disaster. Now, we should point out that the bank denies it ever refused the president's services for political reasons, but he seems determined to pursue this lawsuit.
Thanks, Elena. TikTok has sealed a deal to avoid a US ban. Chinese owner ByteDance finalized an agreement for a new joint venture that will be majority American-owned, 80% held by US and global investors, including Oracle, Silver Lake, and Abu Dhabi's MGX. ByteDance keeps just under 20%. President Trump has praised the deal and thanked China's Xi Jinping for approving it. The US is moving an aircraft carrier and several guided missile destroyers to the Middle East, according to US officials speaking on the condition of anonymity. It appears to be part of what President Trump, speaking aboard Air Force One, says is a huge deployment heading toward Iran.
Well, we have an armada. We have a massive fleet heading in that direction.
Tensions with the US have soared after protests in Iran, which killed more than 5,000 people, according to an Iranian official. The protests have since dwindled. An epic storm is expected to dump snow and ice on large swaths of the US, shutting down travel for days. The National Weather Service has warned that the mix of freezing rain, sleet, and snow could make travel dangerous and lead to power outages and tree damage in parts of the southeast, while heavier snow is expected farther north. Airlines have rolled out sweeping travel waivers, warning thousands of flights will likely be cancelled over the next few days.
What the hell going on? Oh, we heard tale of a party.
Vampire thriller Sinners is making Oscars history, picking up a record 16 nominations. The Warner Brothers film is set in the segregation-era American South, and it's leading a diverse field of nominees. Here is our entertainment reporter, Lisa Richwine, in Los Angeles.
I think the most heated competition will be for Best Actor. You have Michael B. Jordan for Sinners, where he plays two characters, but you have Leonardo DiCaprio in One Battle After Another and Timothée Chalamet in Marty Supreme. All three of them give standout performances, and experts think that race could go to any of those three.
Also worth noting is that this year's race is shaping up to be one of the most commercially driven in years.
Some of these films are big hits at the box office, which is not always the case with the Oscars. Lots of times you see small independent films that play in art houses and haven't been seen by a lot of people. So that might get more people to tune into the show because more people have seen the nominated movies.
Now, we mentioned that US TikTok deal earlier, and just in case you doubt the power of social media, a viral grassroots campaign in the UK has seen Victoria Beckham's debut solo single from 2001, Not Such an Innocent Girl, reach the top of the iTunes charts. It comes after Victoria's son, Brooklyn Peltz Beckham, laid bare his family feud for the first time in a public Instagram story. TikToker Natalie Brereton joined the campaign.
If you just look at the numbers this story is doing on TikTok, on Instagram, don't underestimate the power of millennials. That's all I'm going to say. I'm a 90s pop culture millennial. And I think the reason it is, number one, is because of social media.
David Beckham, attending the Davos meeting earlier this week, declined to comment to reporters about Brooklyn's allegations. And for today's recommended read, more chart-topping pop music as you head into your weekend. That's 34-year-old Joanna Marie from the Philippines, who's just secured her ticket for K-pop boy band BTS's global tour kicking off in April. All 7 members have been on hiatus for almost 4 years as they completed South Korea's mandatory military service. There's a link to that story in the description. For more on any of the stories from today, check out Reuters.com or the Reuters app. Don't forget to follow us on your favorite podcast player. If you're listening on a smart speaker, just ask for the latest news from Reuters 7 days a week. We'll be back tomorrow with our daily headline show.